Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. So today we're talking about the cost of dishonesty and what the Bible says about business, greed, and justice. We get so distracted by all of these different media stories that have nothing really to do with us. I mean, we live in America, right? We shop at American businesses. We do American types of things. We've got our share of highs and lows with our American family members. But when it comes down to our money, you notice we're not playing. We want to know what is going on with our money. We want to know what's happening with our housing. We want to know whether or not we're going to get that check in the mail. And when we're focused on all of that, we overlook the opportunities that God has established for us to get money. And there are businesses who know that that's what you want is money, especially when they're caught being dishonest. So what does media do so that you don't find out about the businesses that directly impact you? The issues that have showed up at your doorstep? Well, bombard you with a lot of meaningless stories. Get you all caught up in the rabbit hole of confusion. And so you miss out on the class action lawsuits. You miss out on the monies that are due you. Within the past 5 years, I can tell you that some people got paid. And some of these people may be your neighbors, may be your co-workers, your family members. What's interesting is they're not going to tell you, some of these folks either. She suddenly got this money, and I don't know where she got this money from, but she got some money. Okay? I'm going to just update you on some things today with regard to business. And we definitely are going to get into the Bible because, like I kicked it off, God, He is not going to let greed go unpunished. You see, there is justice, and we'll talk about that as well. But let me just tell some folk business, okay, in terms of where they got some money these past 5+ years. And it came from some class action lawsuits. There are various websites out there like consumeraction.org, and you'll be surprised. So I hope that you got time to sit down for a little while, listen to this message. Some of the notable cases that you might not have paid any attention to dealt with data privacy violations, okay? There was a $725 million settlement that was reached in the consumer privacy user profile litigation back in 2023. And that's on the consumeraction.org website. All of these examples I'm taking from there. And it's consumer-action.org. This was one of the largest data privacy class actions in U.S. history. There was also some deceptive marketing practices. One example was Streamlabs, and this was this year. Okay, interesting. You see everything else on the front page news. Streamlabs agreed to a $4.4 million settlement over allegations of enrolling consumers into a monthly subscription without their consent. Similarly, Fandango, and some of you all are familiar with Fandango. If you go to the movies, you see their advertisements. Fandango settled for $9 million in 2025 for failing to disclose convenience fees for ticket purchases. And this had violated New York law. And then there was unauthorized charges with Visa and MasterCard in 2024. they agreed to a $197.5 million settlement to resolve claims of overcharging bank customers for ATM withdrawals using their debit cards. So there have been lawsuits. Notice, doesn't have anything to do with all of those other things that we see just showing up in our feeds all across social media. I got some more for you. What consumers have frequently done with regard to class action lawsuits, because I'm the kind of person that likes to look at patterns, similarities, right? The same old thing starts to pop up, that's a red flag. A lot of these consumers, they look at all of the fine print in those terms and agreements that, we quickly sign off on. And then when someone does something, or a group or organization, they're quick to get some things done with regard to lawsuits. And so the common issues that kept showing up with these consumers who initiated these class action lawsuits was antitrust violations. So you need to start paying closer attention to terms and conditions on all these different websites, okay? As well as, companies that you might do business with offline, and they have you sign some paperwork, what have you. Antitrust violations, deceptive marketing practices, okay? These are eagle eyes that's paying attention. And they're like, wait a minute, that's not legal what that company is doing. Improper debt collection methods, very common. So these three kept popping up within the past 5 years. Antitrust violations, deceptive marketing practices, and improper debt collection methods. Okay? I kept seeing these different companies showing up. And I'm like, yeah, there's a pattern, and I'm going to take a look at some of these sources. Reuters. Align Technology is an example of this for the antitrust violations. This is the maker of Invisalign clear teeth aligners. They agreed to a $27.5 million settlement in August 2024 to resolve allegations of engaging in illegal antitrust conspiracy that drove up prices of aligners made by rival Smile Direct Club. An example of deceptive marketing practices, January 2025. Now notice, you're paying attention to everything else that's going on, right? Trump news, what he's up to, all of that. And then check this out. January 2025, Connecticut reached a $1.5 million settlement with online used car dealer Carvana. Okay? Carvana. A lot of people got cars from Carvana. Following hundreds of complaints since 2019. So from 2019 to January 2025, deceptive business going on. Issues included delays in delivering title and registration documents, late payments to car sellers, and deceptive representations of vehicle conditions. And that was found on CT Insider. Got another example for you. Improper debt collection practices. This next piece was in the U.S. Sun, okay? A North Carolina woman won a $5,000 settlement from a $5.75 million fund in a class action lawsuit against one of the country's largest debt collectors, Portfolio Recovery Associates, PRA. Some of you all, I'm sure you're familiar with that. The lawsuit alleged improper practices in collecting on decades-old credit card debts, highlighting the need for stricter regulation of the debt collection industry to protect consumers. Okay? So you see, there are those individuals that they don't care about all this other stuff that's going on. They don't care about what family members are up to and the dramas and traumas because they got away from all of that foolishness. They're not caring about the next protest, whatever that might be. They're not concerned about what Trump and his administration is up to. No, what they're doing is they're doing research, okay, on consumer class action settlements and getting in on everything from food to transportation. And some of you all, you missed out because you were paying attention to everything else. But God says, you're praying, you're asking for money. I'm showing you where there are some companies that are involved in some deceptive practices. I'm going to shine a light, and it's up to you to go head on and walk into that light and get your money. Okay? Get your money. If you are a business owner, not a consumer, let's just go down that path of being a business owner, a leader, okay? Maybe even a stockholder, okay? Shareholder. Do you want information about your company being leaked all over the place? Do you want your company's name to be on the front page news on every social media platform? Because I could hear somebody saying, why is it that we don't hear about these things? They're out there. It's just that there's so many other ways to suffocate news so that you miss out on a settlement, because you see, they don't want to go bankrupt. Some of these companies end up changing their names, right? I remember last year when CashApp, class action lawsuit. And the thing was that when I went to their website to fill in my experience, links didn't work. Okay. And I even let some of these folks that were on the campaign trail know, look, we got these businesses that have these class action lawsuits, because it wasn't just them. I'm just using an example. But, you guys, you need to let these companies know that these links, where by law we're supposed to go ahead on and file our claim, they're not working. We need to talk about the things that really matter. You see. And of course there were so many other issues, but that's a big one, because if you're doing business with a company, you want to make sure that everything is legit, everything is on the up and up. Did they change their practices and all of that? You see. And so it took a class action lawsuit for some folks to fix some things. Now, I've got some more examples for you. More specifically, products and services. All right. Back in, I want to say between August 24th, 2011 and November 1st, 2020. You might be familiar with this. This was on Consumer Action as well. Their website, the EpiPen auto injectors. There were these generic EpiPens that showed up during that time frame. And there was issues with that. And so a settlement was paid out. Now, once again, if you're thinking about everything else but the EpiPen that you got, and nobody told you anything, and you don't have any emails, or maybe you didn't look at your emails for a long time, or you didn't get anything in the mail, this is how you end up missing out on some things. My Little Streamer appliances. There were individuals who bought the Joy JM branded My Little Steamer products, and that was between January 1, 2002 and December 31st, 2020. All those people who bought that product was eligible for compensation. Pyrex measuring cups, been around, right, for a long time. But check this out. There were the Chinese-made Pyrex measuring cups. And this is why with collectors who know their stuff, they can tell you right away, that's not real. So some folks, I got grandma's Pyrex measuring cup and all this other stuff. And meanwhile, it's been replaced with some Chinese-made Pyrex measuring cup. Well, some of those measuring cups were mislabeled with Made in the USA. Mislabeled. Between March 2021 and May 2022. And so anyone who bought those cups at that particular time, they were eligible for refunds. And the settlement was over false advertising. That was in the U.S. Sun. It was reported. Here's another example. We're coming where some people are. Purchasers of Super S Super Track 303 tractor hydraulic fluid, Super S303 tractor hydraulic fluid. Okay, there's Cam 2 Pro Max 303 tractor hydraulic oil and Cam 2 303 tractor hydraulic oil since December 1, 2013. There was a settlement about that due to the products causing equipment damage by not meeting specifications. Now, I gave you all these examples because, simply put, anybody who had these things, okay, missed out on money. Now, in the future, you don't want to miss out on money. I'm sure you don't. And if you get blessed, hey, break off a little something and put it over here on NM Enterprise 7. But I will tell you, though, that when you periodically do searches, and you must do searches on various products, more specifically, if there's a class action lawsuit, what are people saying in the various community chats and so on and so forth? That's how you are able to catch, the next lawsuits. And there are those that are coming up. All right. And I told you about consumer-action.org, but there are other just put in class action lawsuits and see what's coming up. At the time of this recording, it is March. So find out what's coming up for April, May, and June. And there is a long list. Some of that stuff doesn't have anything to do with me, but it most likely will have something to do with some of you all. I mean, we're talking about some big money that is going out, as a group, of course. But you might see something that's going on and you just didn't bother to, pay any attention. And that could have been you walking away with a lot of money, rather than a class action lawsuit. But you got to pay attention to the supplements. You got to pay attention to the food products and the expiration dates. And when grocery stores continue to put stuff out, you got to pay attention to the defects, right, in some of these products that you purchase, and then they have a callback. Got some more examples. So some customers had various class action lawsuits that involved the automotive sector. So you've got Westpac Banking Corporation. This was in March, like right now in March. Westpac settled a class action 2025 for a 130 million, approximately 81.84 million, resolving allegations that it allowed car dealers to increase interest rates on car loans to earn higher commissions between 2013 and 2018. So pay attention to these interest rates. This was reported on Reuters. Last year in October, ANZ, 85 million settlement. And this was predatory practices in its former car loans businesses, particularly concerning flex commission arrangements that led to consumers paying inflated interest rates. And this is why, if you started seeing in various career boards, all of these jobs going up, right, for car sales, whenever something like this happens, it's interesting how the ants will scatter. You see, they'll scatter because they know what they were a part of. So they try to get out of it before they end up having a personal lawsuit where a customer says, not only am I suing the company, but I'm suing you too because you were aware. You see, Fifth Third Bank in July 2024, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and that's a good place to check out some information, ordered Fifth and Third Bank to pay $5 million. It was a penalty for forcing vehicle insurance onto borrowers who already had coverage, leading to wrongful repossessions. That was on Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Wells Fargo, Wikipedia. The bank agreed to a $385 million settlement in June 2019 for allegedly scamming millions of auto loan customers into buying unnecessary insurance. Salespeople at a lot of these different companies are the drivers of a lot of this foolishness because it boils down to they want to get more money on top of more money. They're getting bonuses for drawing you into just one more thing. And so if you are involved with a sales person, you need to pay close attention to what you're signing. You need to go on the internet, do your due diligence, review, check the reviews. Don't just look at one website, because people can pay for reviews, but look at multiple websites in terms of what people are saying about that particular company. Now, I gave you some examples. The banking sector, right, had their share of interest rates and dramas and traumas. Capital One, misleading interest rates. This was in January 2025. The CFPB sued Capital One, alleging the bank misled consumers about their 360 savings accounts by keeping interest rates low while promoting a new account with higher rates without informing existing customers. AP News. Did you get your money? You see, so they have these little timelines in terms of when you can go ahead and be a part of the class action lawsuit. And if you don't see it, you don't get any monies. And this is why we have to dig for our own news. I think all of these different companies that we do business with, I think that this is more newsworthy than all this other stuff that's going on, because this hits you right in the pockets, you see. And people get away with shady types of business practices because nobody wants to say anything, or because nobody knows anything, or, oh, I don't know, I'm only going to get a few, dollars or whatever. Hey, a few dollars is better than no dollars. So the commonalities in many of these cases involved hidden or inflated fees. Once again, pay attention to everything you sign up for, interest rates, all that, and unnecessary fees, charges, all of it. Unauthorized account activities, right? Banks opening up accounts, adding services without your consent, additional fees and complications, and then the misrepresentation of terms, right? You got those who they aren't, the salespeople aren't always telling you exactly what the terms of these financial products are. And, it causes all sorts of, what. And then the next thing you know, people want to abandon ship. Yeah, because the company you work for is shady, and you know it. And God is holding some believers, accountable for this, because you know that your company is participating in all sorts of shady behaviors, activities, and so on and so forth. And you justify it because you want a paycheck. I just put a post not that long ago on one of my social media telling people, while you worrying about economic protests and whatever else, how about you quit that job where you know that people who are poor, broke, busted, and disgusted are being hustled, and you know how the system works in order to get people, to commit to things that they shouldn't, just so that you can get a bonus. You see? So the data breaches, the unauthorized recordings, the anti-competitive practices, these sorts of things, a lot of technology companies are a part of this. Some of you're familiar with T-Mobile back in 2021, Ingo Money in 2023. These were settlements that were reached. Top Class Actions has a lot of this on their website as well. Okay, and that's where you'll find some of the latest class action lawsuits. So while you're listening to this, you can hop over there. Top Class Actions. Apple Siri, 95 million settlement. Did not know anything about this one, but this was from September 17th, 2014 to the end of 2022. And what Siri was doing was recording conversations without users' consent. I'm sorry. So, my goodness. When Apple again, back in 2019, the U.S. Supreme Court, it was the Apple Inc. versus Pepper, and this was found on Wikipedia. Consumers sued Apple for alleged monopolistic practices related to its App Store, allowing the antitrust lawsuit to proceed. And Valve Corporation, the company behind the Steam gaming platform, there was antitrust litigation with them. Reuters reported that story. Honda was fined $630,000 for violating customer privacy rights and mishandling their personal data. That was reported by the U.S. Sun. And Meta Platforms, formerly Facebook, French publishers and authors filed a lawsuit against them, alleging unauthorized use of copyrighted content to train its AI systems. And let me tell you something about that. And that was reported by Reuters. A lot of that training that went on was with content that myself and many other writers, because back in the day, we used to write on a lot of these different platforms. There were so many of them. And I said to myself, once those platforms were no more, I said, where's all of our content going? Nobody ever reached out to us and said, oh, here's payment because we're selling this content over to this particular company who needs content to train AI. So, and you know that AI was trained by writers' content. I mean, the bullet points, the 1, the 2, the 3, all of that, long before AI. The format, all of us writers, those that know something about writing, there's various types of articles. All of those different processes that we learned back when we were in college, and headers, the way we formulate headers, and condensing titles, some of the grammatical ways at creating various sentence structures, first person narratives, all of these other things, AI trained on our stuff. So that's why I don't have a problem when people sit up there and they talk about, well, AI did this and that. If you look at some of my writings long before AI got here, you would say, oh, what? Get out of here. That sounds like AI. That was me going to college for 6 years, writing ever since I was 8 years old. So that's why I have, and I've always been a better writer than a speaker. I love the thesaurus back in the day. I pulled out the thesaurus in a minute because I got sick of the same old conversational words. And so I'm like, when I look at when I read some of the writing and the tone and everything, I'm like, you were trained on professional writers' content. But it's all right though, because God don't like ugly. And so some of these companies, right, we are seeing what's happening time and time again with regard to data protection, user privacy, competitive practices, copyrighted material, and using AI to train. So those of you all who are believers, this is the part that I'm glad you stuck around this long. What does the Bible say about all this? How are these businesses supposed to act, right? We definitely know they're not supposed to be participating in fraudulent activity, exploiting us. We know that they're not supposed to be invading our privacy. And these were issues that many congressmen and women talked about a long time ago. And we just kept giving them just a little more access and a little more access, to the point where now these devices can record and drop in on and take your material and be inspired to do whatever to build up yet another business model. Bible says that we're supposed to be honest, we're supposed to be fair, we're supposed to be just. Proverbs 11:1, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. Leviticus 19:13, once again, honesty, right? Do not defraud or rob your neighbor. Do not hold back the wages of a hired worker overnight. So you got the unethical banks, you got some of these deceptive businesses, whether small or large, coming up with various ways to put unauthorized charges anywhere they can and treat their employees unfairly. You see? Because while an employee is saying, well, that's those customers, they're being hustled, they should never got involved with this company and whatever else. Well, just like they're pointing a finger and laughing it up and thinking that, well, ha 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 to them, sooner or later, that same shady company does some things that are unethical with those employees. You see? So I I don't understand where sometimes people, they have this just idea in their head that the robber, he gonna rob over there, but he'll never rob me. Or the man, he cheated on her, but he ain't gonna cheat on me. Jesus. Honest business practices. Look, a robber is a robber is a robber. A cheater is a cheater is a cheater. Micah 6:11. Shall I acquit someone with dishonest scales, with a bag of false weights? God detests dishonesty. And don't ever try to, sugarcoat or say that, no, God doesn't, and all this other business that people like to say, just to justify the fact that they're deceptive, that they're dishonest, that they're unethical. I'll do this because he deserves it. Jesus. The manipulation that goes on with prices and some of the financial fraudulent types of activities that go on. You reap what you sow. And some people don't connect the dots. They just don't. The company where they ripped off a bunch of people, then later on, what happens? They get ripped off. The company that they would go to the ends of the earth for, and then later on, maybe they don't reap the consequences, but their children do. My daughter can't seem to get a job. My husband can't seem to get a job. We always on this struggle bus. Well, look, you keep telling lies. You keep coming up with all sorts of excuses, right? To keep your money coming. We got some folks who don't want to protect. Don't want to protect the poor. Don't want to protect the widow. Don't want to protect those who have gone through their share of medical challenges and so on and so forth. They just say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And I touched on some of that on this channel when our family went through. Oh, you know what? No, we don't have anything like that. Well, why don't you go talk to your manager and figure out how you all can come up with something that can help some people? I mean, I even gave some customer service people some ideas, and I'm like, look, this might be able to even help you out. You might even get a promotion on some of this stuff that I'm about to drop, you see? And I know it's a recorded line. And so if they don't want to do anything with it, I know that anybody who pays close attention to what some of these customers are saying, they'll do something with it. And that person might even get written up because you didn't bring this to my attention. This was an excellent idea. Yeah, exactly. Proverbs 22:22 and 23. Do not exploit the poor because they are poor, and do not crush the needy in court, for the Lord will take up their case and will exact life for life. You see? So you got banks and businesses that take advantage of various consumers, rich, poor, doesn't matter, right? Hidden fees, all sorts of penalties, as we mentioned earlier. And I'm telling you, once again, don't want to protect some folks, you're going to reap that. Isaiah 10:1-2. Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees. Woo, Jesus. Come on, somebody, right? You see this in mainstream media. You see this around the world. Whoa, that's a warning. Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees to do what? To deprive the poor of their rights. And what else? What else are they doing when they come up with these oppressive decrees? Withhold justice from the oppressed. This is pages and pages, sir, of how to do business with you. I mean, I can't read all of this. I don't even understand all of this legal jargon. There you have it. There you have it. So that when you don't pay, all that legal jargon you didn't understand, they understand. And so the strategy is to sue. The strategy is to take your very bed from you. You see, to make it so difficult for you that others who are like you won't dare to sign up with that company. Well, I wasn't always like this. They don't care. I gave so much. I did so many things. They don't care. I've got stock in this company. You see? These systems are in place to favor who? Even down to the media, the way they report stories, to favor the corporations. You don't know, once again, about the unethical company, about your favorite brand, about the class action lawsuits. Because there's favor. There's favor. The news organization, here you go. But isn't that unethical? Absolutely it is. They're getting all sorts of favor. Yeah. Some people, they move up the chain pretty quick, don't they? They start off middle class and then they end up being millionaires. Why is that? Because they've done shady things. The Lord, He answered my prayer. He answered my prayer. When I was sitting as a passenger going through these various neighborhoods and I saw these beautiful mansions on hills from state to state. I mean, some of the most fabulous architecture that I've ever seen in my life. And I said, how does one attain that type of wealth? And the Lord said, through unethical business practices. They're willing to do things that you and many others would never do. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You give me what I want, and I'll give you what you want. You'll never have to worry about money ever again if you just get out there and tell the people what I tell you. All sorts of shady deals. And you know that we don't have a heart for some of what these people are willing to do. Some of the most defiled, despicable, nasty things. What would you do for a Klondike bar? James 5:4. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. That's why some individuals protest various establishments. And just when they start to get underway about these wages and how you need to pay more to the restaurant workers and you need to pay more, to those individuals who do blue collar work, and just when the momentum starts to just get going, here comes a story that everybody runs toward that has nothing to do with the common man. They don't want you to gain momentum. Unethical labor practices. They don't care. You got the various commission structures with some of those companies that we talked about earlier. They're unfair. Predatory loans. I've talked about this on and off in old audio. And someone even came through one day, said, Nichole, what do you want? I want this stuff to stop. That's what I want. And the major businesses that are doing it. You do a little search and the next thing you know, these are the companies that she's talking about. They're shady. Every state that I've ever lived in and every company that I was doing business, and the day that I couldn't pay for something and they didn't want to work with me, there lies the problem. Even down to you can't get certain jobs if you have a credit score. That is whatever that credit score might be. Some of you all know. You've been there, you've done it, you've seen the movie. And you were on that slow rise back up again, right? And then bam, something else comes. Hey, I've been there. I've been on the roller coaster ride. Come on. The greed and corruption. It's never enough, is it? It's never enough. You enter into a payment agreement and then they go, well, do you have some more? Do you have some more? Proverbs 28:8. Whoever increases wealth by taking interest or profit from the poor amasses it for another. Who will be kind to the poor? Habakkuk 2:9. Woe to him who builds his house by unjust gain, setting his nest on high to escape the clutches of ruin. And that's interesting, right? I told you, driving past those mansions, got that house on high, right? Woo, yeah, it must be nice. But we know how you got it, though. 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. So you got the greedy relative, and this body count, and that body count, and, from insurance, they collected on this, collected on that. They're not trying to share with anybody. Or if they are, they're giving you just a little bit, a little drop in the bucket, and that's it. All the way to that greedy CEO who's not willing to give up any portion of his salary to help those who are poor, broke, busted, and disgusted. And will say, well, that don't have anything to do with me. But unforeseen circumstances happen. Do you have a little grace, a little mercy? Can you figure something out? Can you waive all usury? They're not going to do it. So we got to put God in on this. Somebody, come on now. Ask the Lord to deal with these greedy corporations, these greedy people. Ask him in Jesus' mighty name. Exodus 20:16, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Now, we know that businesses participate in various deceptive practices, right? I think we talked about that quite a bit so far. And we know that they have violated all sorts of laws, some of these companies. That's all the more reason why we go back to the one true God with all of our information, all of what we've learned, and we say, Lord, we've got these companies that are bearing false witness. We've got companies that are not exhibiting integrity. They're not being truthful. And we need your help. Ephesians 4:25 says, therefore, having put away falsehood, let each one of you speak the truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. That is how the believer is supposed to behave. And so if I'm looking at my fellow brother or sister's tree, and I'm seeing that they're a part of a company that's bearing false witness, they're a part of a company that is telling all sorts of lies, they're a part of a company that they're not willing to listen to the people, why should I continue to do business with that one? Why should I trust that one to sit at my table? You see, there's a lot of things to unpack with some folks who continue to support people who are unethical. Their businesses are unethical. They don't have any respect for our privacy. You see, Luke 8:17, for nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest. And all of these things that people are working so hard to continue to hide, it will be made manifest. And for some of you all, you will grow faint of heart because you won't want to believe it. You won't want to believe it. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. And so for some of these companies that have been around for centuries, those who are bold enough to speak real truth, they may even lose their lives as a result. But God is moving on them to do just that. You see, war hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, the same God that we serve even now, is the same God that of days old, those in the Bible served. And there was war then and there's war now. And it doesn't always look like boots on the ground. But the rich and the richer and the richest are at war with one another. And they know they can weaponize the public by putting a lot of stuff out there to make the public angry. And when the public is angry, they start attacking companies. And this is what you're seeing. But all eyes shouldn't be on just one company. There are many companies that have gotten away with a lot. They've got various substances that are in food products that company should have long been put out of business. So you need to be paying attention to those labels and get in touch with a lawyer for some of you all. oh, my stomach always hurts when I take this particular, supplement. And, oh, every time when I cook with this oil. And then, yeah, somebody needs to start paying close attention, documenting everything, going to the doctor's office. Oh, there's a lawsuit right around the corner. I don't know who I'm speaking to, but you have a routine like clockwork. There is food that you eat like clockwork. And last year you didn't have these issues, but this year you do. You know something is happening that is related to those products that you're putting in your body. So a food diary for someone. And that is going to come in handy, as well as your medical diary. That's going to come in handy so that when you sit down before the lawyer, you got evidence and proof. And not only that, you also go on the internet and get other people who are complaining about the same thing. And the next thing you know, it's not just you, but it's a whole class action lawsuit, because that, once again, is where the real battle is with these individual companies and what they're doing. These shady, unethical practices. So that leads me to my last point, which is God's call for justice. Psalm 37:7. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, because yes, we do see some success, don't we? And we're saying to ourselves, once again, the wicked's prospering, Lord. It's getting on my last nerve. I'm tired of this, right? Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. And they have been, once again, because people are paying attention to everything that has nothing to do with what really is happening with regard to what we talked about. And I gave you examples of these various unethical companies. Yeah, they're going to prosper for a time, but then their actions are going to be judged. But we need more people to pay closer attention to what is wrong. And then you get out here on this internet and everywhere else and tell us what we need to sign up for. You put it right here in the comments section, what we need to sign up for, what we need to be a part of to make some things happen. Proverbs 21:3, to do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. That's all God really wants, is just people to act ethical, to be men and women of integrity, to be honest. What's so hard about that? What's so hard about it is the fact that when you done sold your soul to the devil, it's not just celebrities out here, but when you got the minister who sells his soul because he wants to keep his church, when you got the local business owner, whether small or large, and they sell their soul because we just want to keep this money coming. That's why it's so hard. And so they're in deep. Some of these people are in deep. Isaiah 1:17, learn to do right. There it is, simple command. God doesn't make this complicated. Learn to do right. Seek justice. Seek justice for the widow. Seek justice for the one who is going through a lot of challenges within the family. Seek justice for the poor, broke, busted, and disgusted. You see, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed. That's what Bible says. Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed. All right, NIV. So we can't say that God hasn't been telling us to, partner up with the right businesses and, look in the cabinets and pay attention to what's on the back of those labels and find out where your information is going with regard to tech, and pay closer attention to these financial companies you do business with. There's so many different ways God shows you signs, visions, wonders. The fact that you just happen to come across this message today, that's all the more reason why paying attention to those apps that's on your phone and seeing what exactly is going on with some of these, and paying attention to the reviews. You see, these companies want to be greedy. They want to be deceptive. They want to exploit. Okay, so we clap back with, we expose the greed, we expose the deception, we expose the exploitation. I told you some websites. Once again, I want you to take a look at. All right. And see where these class action lawsuits, so you don't miss out on another one. Consumer-action.org. And I also mentioned some of the websites that report on these sorts of behaviors that go on with these companies: Reuters, CT Insider, the U.S. Sun, and those are the past stories where I got those from. And then the top class action, that website. And then you can do, you can also check out Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You can look at past stories on Wikipedia and AP News. The Australian, they also reported on some of these legal actions. And you pay attention to the cars, right? And what comes out with regard to cars over the years. It's been airbags. It's been, various defects on vehicles, toys, baby products. So you've got more than enough today. I thank you. I thank you as always for taking time out to listen. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We do welcome giving on this channel, and thanks in advance. Blessings to you.